Hi, everyone. Dan RadioStyle. Hope you're doing well. Sometimes we save ourselves from ourself. What? I know. This came about actually in my life, and it's been a very, very little interesting reminder of why sometimes many of us wonder, about the speed of our manifestation or speed of manifesting. What's your manifestation speed, right? Your MS. Now, a lot of us would love to be able to give that example. Those that teach, coach, and all that stuff would love to be able to say, hey, it's going to take you 3 weeks to manifest what it is that you're trying to manifest. I kind of wanted to explain something that happens as you practice this and get better at this and get better at this and get better at this. Over time, things start to pick up with speed. They start to happen faster. I think a lot of it's because you spend more time in that positive state. I think a lot of it comes into that you absolutely believe your thoughts have power, so you try very hard from a conscious place to focus those thoughts in a good direction, right? Is what I'm thinking about beneficial to me, to society, to the big picture, whatever the case is what I'm thinking about helpful? Or am I running through a negative conversation I had with someone? Or am I running through a fake conversation that I want to have with someone that's a bit on the negative side? Or am I thinking about something horrible that might happen? Or am I thinking about what it's probably going to be like when I go to the grocery store or the DMV or whatever, right? Where are my thoughts? Where are my thoughts? Not just a majority of the time, but even more than that, right? 51% of the time you're going to nudge yourself into manifesting, but you're barely doing it, so you're barely moving forward. At 1% extra, you're moving forward, right? But it's not like doing 90% of the time. You're doing 90% of the time. You're definitely working on creating a more positive flow, more positive energy. So a lot of people wonder, how can I speed up my manifestation? You can't necessarily speed up your manifestation, your specific instance that you're trying to make happen, your specific person, for example, or that specific job. It's harder to speed that up than it is to actually speed up your entire manifestation wheel. I think of it, I liken it to, I've joked about it on the show, but like the big Price is Right wheel, for those of you that maybe have seen that TV show, that game show on the TV here in the United States. They probably play it in other countries. Right there, this big giant wheel, and there's like $1, and you get 2 spins to get $1. If you're really lucky, you get $1 right off the bat, and then you got the 2 red ones, 5 and 15 or something crazy, right? And those are possibly worth money on some special spin. I don't remember all the rules. It's been years since I've watched the show. But it's a giant wheel, and all right, you always see like grandma, some like little 3'2" tall lady that's about 405 years old, and she's yanking down on that damn wheel like I'm just waiting for it to grab her and smush her underneath it or something horrible happen. I don't know. The wheel looks insane. It looks like it's very hard to pull down for some of these smaller people. I liken that to your manifestation wheel. Right? When that thing gets humming, ding, 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 right? And it's rolling and it's going. You don't want to try to stop it, right? Because it's moving. It'll like move your hand, or it'll slide you under, or it'll hurt you, or right? But on the converse of that, when it's going slow, it's not moving very fast. You can see what's gonna about happen, right? Like I can tell that $1 is definitely not about to pop up, right? But it's moving slower. And when it's moving slower, your manifestation speed is moving slower. So as we get better and better and better at staying in the positive more often, it speeds up our manifestation. Now, some of you might be saying, why does that matter? Let me give a wonderful example of why it matters and why, as you get better at manifesting, as you get better at controlling your thoughts, really, as you get better at that, your manifestations increase in how fast they come to us. You'll start to experience things that much quicker that you were just thinking about, that you were just talking about, that you just wrote something about. You'll start to see these things quicker. When we think of something negative, when we're wheels cruising, when we do something negative, much like if the wheel's spinning and I'm throwing my hand under to try to slow it down or something, when we do that, we manifest that negative thing quickly. Now, it does throw the brakes on us when we do it, fortunately, because the negative thought manifesting quickly, it can very quickly spiral into a number of negative thoughts that feed on themselves and create a really dark place that you can end up in a very short period of time. Now, the example I'm talking about today, there was a meeting, one that mattered. Fortunately, we have a chance to move this to tomorrow and do it again. But There was a demonstration of the product. This was a big moment that we were hoping to get sign-off on. There was some things I was definitely not confident in the product. I went through it and I kind of ran through some scenarios to make sure that everything seemed to work, and it seemed to. Everything worked. I got through everything fine. There's a couple talking points that I was prepared. Like, I was ready. I was ready to demo this product. I was ready to talk to anything that they were likely going to ask. I had a very strong understanding as what the customer needs and wants. And they're very close to me too, by the way. It's the people I care about greatly, and they seem to care about me, thank goodness. So again, we can get it to that place that they'd like it to be. So this demo is important because this is where they got to sign off and say, yes, all the money we've spent is worth it. We would like to ship this and start using it in these 4 markets starting next week or whatever. Well, I was having these negative thoughts about how it wasn't going to work, negative thoughts what happens if it's broken, what happens if I have some sort of issue in the middle of doing something. These thoughts had popped into my head. Didn't spend a lot of time on them. Literally, had one discussion with one person, telling her that, and she's on my team, but she's one of the sort of more kind of like me, a little above the fray, if you will. I don't mean that in any sort of... Anyway, it's just where we sit in the process, right? There's a few teams under me, and I'm trying to help the project get to where it needs to go. She's the scrum master and all that stuff. She's involved with, how she's involved with, and she sits outside of the whole team structure thing too. So we chatted about it. I was a little negative there. And I had one other discussion with the customer, basically, just being upfront with some of the stuff that I figured was going to be a problem. But I told her, I said, I just want you to know I dig you, I care about you. Whatever you got to ask, if they're tough questions, if I'm sitting there, with egg on my face and a crow drumstick sticking out of my mouth, then so be it. I just want everything to be on the up and up, and you just to know that everything's good. Well, when the demo came around, nothing went right. Nothing. Like a couple of the basic things, and then right when I started to get into the stuff that really needed to happen, it failed on a key point. And like was throwing an error, and like everyone else was like, I'm able to do it. And like and I'm like, well, here's the person that's trying to do it for everyone else who's not able to do it. And so I went through a rather painful meeting, and I learned some valuable lessons, by the way. There was some definite other karma for me to learn. So it was invaluable. There's a lot of things. A lot of people will be like, well, that was you pushed out. Okay, but what it was for me, honestly, was an awesome learning experience. That's what it was. Like, me pushed out, not pushed out. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't get into all that as much as everyone else likes to. It doesn't matter who talks about it. That's not my point. I'm talking about what I see it as. And I saw it as a reflection of where I'm at right now with this whole process, with my thinking. Am I thinking about things that are benefiting me? No. Am I thinking about things that are helping the team? No. I was focused on the negative stuff. Things have been manifesting really fast lately, mind you. So in one day, in 2 conversations, neither of which lasted longer than 15 minutes each, I was able to completely sabotage my demo in front of the customers and a few other really important people, and display some mistakes that I got to grow from, and got some cool coaching. So it was good for me, right? From that standpoint, because a lot of times we're all learning and growing through these things. My point is if we get too fast, going too fast, right? But we keep having problems with our positive thinking, or at least consistent thinking. When we have issues doing that, universe kind of keeps that brake tapped down on us, because we could damage ourselves. We could hurt ourselves. We could start thinking some fearful thought and create that reality. Your thoughts have power. My thoughts have power. The thoughts have power. What are we using them on? And a lot of people think that law of attraction is something that you use when you want to use, and other than that, it's not being used. And what I'm saying is you are using law of attraction 100% of the time, regardless if you mean to or not, regardless if you meant that or not, regardless of what you wanted to say, what you wanted to happen might very well be different than what you were actually thinking and focused on. And you might be trying to fix something by focusing on something negative. But really, the focus is on the fix, on the resolution of the fix, on the what happens when the problem's gone, on the what happens when I can get all the way through the demo. So again, because the way things are good, life's groovy, life's wonderful, and this is how things work for me, okay? Yes, I manifested this frustrating, difficult afternoon, and it was only 40 minutes of my life that was challenging, right? I manifested that, but at the same time, immediately manifest a meeting for the following morning to try to do this again. Give us a chance to make sure we don't have these little issues, because there is a little bug that was preventing or causing some of these problems. There was some legit issues. I just happened to find the few records that were tarnished with this bug. It was awesome when you think about it. But again, the chance to redo this tomorrow, chance to learn from what I've done, a chance to become better, and a chance to demonstrate that, hey, yeah, I make mistakes. And when you show Dan that, hey, this was the mistake you made, he takes him, moves forward, and doesn't do it again, right? So again, that's also a success, is when you can demonstrate, yeah, I'm going to learn and make mistakes. Everyone does this, especially professionally. We're all learning. Even if you've been doing it for 20 years, you should still be like learning something new from time to time and becoming even a bigger expert, right? So again, if we can keep our positive thoughts moving in positive directions in general in our life more often, your manifestation wheel gets moving faster. And that helps create whatever thing you've been focused on. Maybe it's that specific person or whatever. By trying to keep your thoughts more positively oriented, more focused towards what you would like. It's not so much that the universe cares, it's that the universe is worried about whether or not we're going to damage ourselves. If I'm demonstrating to the universe that, yeah, I am mindful of my thoughts 70% of the time, 60% of the time, 80% of the time, I don't know, whatever, right? If I'm mindful of the fact that I was like, oh, crap, you were just thinking about something negative, and I do something about it, good. You're good. Your momentum's going to begin to pick up. If every time I go, something horrible, dang, I hate when I think of horrible things. God, I'm so horrible for thinking of horrible things. I'm the most horrible person thinking of horrible things about horrible things. I'm creating more horror. Well, your wheel is going to come to a slow crawl, because right there, you could have just created a monster of a problem in your life if it was going fast. So something to keep in mind. A lot of us don't think about it this way. I'm pretty sure. I haven't heard too many videos about it either, for that matter. But sometimes we're trying to save ourselves from ourselves. That makes some sense, hopefully, now at this point. Hope this does. Anyway, still major habit going out with music, but we're just going to go out with a salutation. And please subscribe if you haven't. I appreciate that, as always. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching Dan Radio Style.